Welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange Podcast. Stories by leaders for leaders to help you raise the bar on your own excellence, to release the potential inside of you. Now, here's today's podcast. This is Hugh Ballou for a really different episode today on the Nonprofit Exchange. I'm the founder and president of Center Vision Leadership Foundation, where leaders create synergy by being very clear with their vision. But you know, the burnout rate with nonprofit leaders is very high, and it's even higher with clergy. So self-care is really important. And so my guest today is Deb Krier. And Deb's topic, you might think it doesn't relate to you, but come on. We all need to take care of ourselves. Life is the only thing that can defeat cancer. So Deb, tell people a little bit about your background and your passion for this work. And thank you for being here.
Oh, well, thank you for having me as a guest. We're going to have such a fun discussion. So my background is in 2015, diagnosed with breast cancer. If it could go wrong, it did. And so I was one of those where it was entertaining, everything went wrong. But I was not going to let it defeat me. I made sure that I was the one in charge, and I surrounded myself with the right people. And I think that's one of the things that as leaders, we need to always do. We don't need the yes men and the yes women, right? We need all the right people around us, whether it's your medical team, your friends, your caregivers, all of those. When you're facing something like cancer, we have to have the right people around us, because that's the big part. And of course, one of the biggest things, and I learned this many years ago, because I actually worked for an oncologist, right? I worked for an oncologist and for the American Cancer Society, and then I get cancer. And so I told people, I said, yeah, I know just enough to really be dangerous. But the oncologist that I worked for had said, it is all in here. It is in your mind. It is your mindset as to how you are going to get through this. And so it's funny, one of the things that I talk about is the I'm fine syndrome. And, how many times do we say, Hugh, how you doing today? And you say, I'm fine. Always, right? And part of it is we think people don't want to hear us complain. We think people don't want to have us ask for help. Any of those things. When I'm talking to my doctors, they're going to say, Deb, how are you doing today? I'm fine. That could mean anything from I'm ready to run a marathon to I'm going to keel over dead. But we're just going to, I'm fine. And so a lot of this, and as a leader in particular, it is so important to be honest with those who are around you. You mentioned burnout. Burnout happens because we are not honest with the people around us. And that is just so important that when somebody says, how you doing? Now, you don't have to collapse in a puddle of tears, but you can say, it's been a rough day. I need help with this project, or, things like that.
Well, top of my list for leadership traits is authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Under that's honesty. Under that is
Right.
vulnerability, transparency.
Mm-hmm. Right.
None of those are wimpy. Those are just being straightforward. Right. And I find with any sector, I work with leaders in multinational corporations, mm-hmm. startup entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, clergy, all kinds of people. And one of the consistent things I find is what psychiatrist Murray Bowen called over-functioning. Mm-hmm. Part of what we do is we create our own stress by over-functioning. Right. And we set up problems that then mm-hmm. cause our stress. So I've noticed throughout my career of doing this for 35 years, that the people who I've seen get sick many times mm-hmm. have some stress-related issues. Right. I don't think that's a slam dunk, but I just noticed that there's a consistency. So is mm-hmm. it possible that we compromise our immune system with stress?
Oh, we definitely do. Because a big part of it, especially if you're the leader, is you don't get enough sleep. You probably don't eat well. You don't go to the doctor, checkup. I can't do a checkup because I can't miss my 1 o'clock meeting. um and we do have the weight of at least that organization on our shoulders. And so that, kind of that stomach acid, all that's just always churning. Our blood pressure goes up, all of these things. And again, somebody says, "Hi, I'm fine." And it's interesting. One of the things that we have discovered in the work that I've been doing is that the higher the level of position, the more unlikely it is that somebody will say, "Hey, there's something going on. I've got cancer," because they don't want their employees to think they're weak or that they can't do their job or all of those things. And so they don't tell anybody. And of course, when you're going through any type of serious illness, you need the support of everybody around you. You don't need to be saying, "Nope, nope, there's nothing wrong with me."
You know, that's just being honest with yourself too.
Mhm. Right. It's okay to say, "I need help today."
Well, in one of the myths of nonprofit, we start with the word nonprofit, which puts us into this scarcity of money.
Right. Nonprofits are not no profit.
Got it. It's we can call it proceeds if you want, if you don't feel
Mhm.
good about that word, but really it's a business. It's a for
Mhm.
purpose business, but you got to
Yes. Mhm.
generate revenue to be able to
Mhm.
pay people and
Right.
do your work. And so
Mhm.
we start with this word nonprofit, which we
Mhm.
understand that's the sector. Uh,
Mhm.
but that puts us in the scarcity mindset, which then we have to do it all because we don't think we can pay people.
Right.
So that's part of the setup, isn't it? That we have to do
Mhm.
say we have to do too much, but in
Yeah.
fact, we're robbing a volunteer of a chance to serve.
Definitely. And especially in a nonprofit world, because there are so many people who want to help. They want to give of their time, their knowledge, their energy, and yeah, their money. Um, but yeah, when we're trying to do it all ourselves and not allowing them to serve, we are doing them a disservice.
Yes. So you've go back to your oncologist. Let's
Hmm.
read that conversation.
Hmm.
And that was an important statement. What did he say about your life and your attitude? What did he say about he? I guess he or she
Was
said,
it he? Yeah. He said that 99% of it is all in your head. And basically what he was saying was, if you think cancer is going to kill you, cancer is going to kill you. If you think I'm going to be able to do what I need to be able to do, then that's going to be there too. Was he saying I'm going, if you can will yourself into being better? Yeah. You still probably needed chemo and drugs and all of surgery, all of that stuff. But if you go in, more importantly, he was saying, excuse me, if you go into it with the negative attitude, it's not going to matter what they did from a medical standpoint.
that's profound. And I don't know how many MDs have that perspective, but
Mhm.
I would say that he probably stands out from the crowd.
He did, and unfortunately he has passed, because that was a job I had a really long time ago. But he really was, he was very profound, and I loved working for him. It was interesting, when I was diagnosed, I seriously considered, we are in Atlanta and it was back in Denver. I gave serious consideration to going back because I wanted him to treat me. And that was when I found out he was, at that point, he was just no longer practicing. He'd retired. And so, but yeah, I mean, that was over 30 years ago that he had that much of an impact on me.
Well, it's sort of a holistic view. So why is it critical for you, the patient, that you're in charge?
It's a Part of that is because we just need to feel like we are in control. And when we're told we have cancer, or you have Parkinson's, or you have ALS, or something catastrophic, the first thing that happens is you feel out of control. Cancer is now in charge. And so sometimes we think, well, it doesn't matter what we do because cancer is going to win. That's back to that mental attitude. And so one of the first things I did, so I did not have a lump or a bump or anything like that. My mammogram showed that I had microcalcifications. Doesn't that sound like a fancy name, right? Um, and so I, did my research, discovered that many women have those. It's just something that happens as we get older. Um, but in some cases, it does turn into cancer. And unfortunately, mine did. But my doctors kept telling me that I had artifacts. And so what do? I name it Artie. And so then we had something that everybody could focus on. We were going to get rid of Artie. And so that was back, being back in control. Your friends, your family, your doctors are all going to say, we think you should do this. Maybe, maybe not. A friend of mine from Colorado was diagnosed about the same point in time. And she decided she did not want chemo and all of the nasty things. And she was told, nope, that's really bad, and she's still with us. This was 8 years ago. And she made that decision that she was going to go the way she wanted to go and the way that she felt best with proceeding. Has she second guessed herself? Probably, and all sorts of, we all do. Should we have had that surgery? Should we have eaten that, that drink? Eaten that drink, that didn't make sense. Should we have eaten, that thing? And I actually had people who told me that because I drank tap water, that was why I got cancer. And I looked at him and I said, no, don't think so. And sometimes things just happen. It's like the old saying, bad things happen to good people. Well, I'd like to think I'm a good person. But yeah, we want to be back in control. And I think that's where, as a leader of an organization, they always want to feel in control. And one of the things that is, I think, the hardest for many leaders to do is that word delegate.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because then they think they're not in control, but they still are. But it's kind of like allowing that good volunteer to do what they're doing. When you delegate to an employee or volunteer and let them shine, you're serving everyone.
So go back to that. You're spot on to what we preach at Center Vision. Now, delegation has to be learned.
Mm-hmm.
Not go do that. It's
Right.
do that, and here's what it looks like when you're
Mm-hmm.
done.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that second part. We don't describe,
Mm-hmm.
we don't define performance expectations.
Right.
And I think board members need a position description,
Mm-hmm.
volunteers, they've got a job, whether we're paying them or not. And actually, the people that volunteer and have a passion for it
Mm-hmm.
are really, they're bought in at a high level because it's their passion.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about delegation a little more. That's one of the over functioning. When we don't delegate, we're creating problems which cause more stress for everybody.
Right. Right. And we have our staff and our volunteers as part of our organizations because they are good at what they do. We wouldn't have them involved if they weren't going to contribute in a good way. So why not take advantage of that? I'm from Denver, and so I talk a lot of sports out there. John Elway, Peyton Manning, yeah, just those little football names. They knew that they could not do everything. They had to have the best receivers. They had to have the best O-line. They had to have the best defense. They had to have the best in order for them to be the best and for the Broncos to be the best. And, the problem is when we see companies, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit, where the leader, and it, might actually be the leader of the company, maybe it's just a department head. They think that they have to be the best and everything has to make them look the best in order for it to be successful. And that's not true. You want everybody, you want to raise everyone up. Because when we raise everyone up, it's the old thing, the entire boat will rise up as opposed to, it not doing that. So you want to have the best people around you and let them be the best and do the best work that they can possibly do.
And we're a mentor, not a micromanager.
Right. Right.
180-degree difference, just
Mm-hmm.
a set. So let's go back to the title. Why is living the only cure for cancer? To explain that, unpack that a little bit for us.
Okay. Well, I actually started a movement. It's called trying not to die.live. And this is, under the premise that when we get so sick, whether it's a cancer diagnosis, whether it's whatever, and maybe it's, just being you, we get so focused on trying to not die that we forget that we have to live. And when we live, I don't care if it's 10 minutes, 10 years, 40, 50 years, when we are living and living our life on our terms, then everything else goes by the wayside. We have truly won whatever that battle is. I've now been diagnosed with my third type of cancer. Like, really, seriously? And and with the third one, I was like, "Oh, well, this is rude." And I, did what I was supposed to do. Luckily, wasn't going to be a big deal. But I took control. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do it now. And, because I'm going to get back to my life. I am not going to let this be the thing that takes me down.
What did that have to do with drinking tap water?
Well, it's in my throat. I actually have thyroid cancer, so maybe it was tap water. I don't know.
So anyway, you have behind you on the wall something that says grateful. Talk about that.
It really is something that even on the worst of times, the worst of days, we do need to find what we can be grateful for. When I found out that I had thyroid cancer and had to have surgery again, I was able to have what I think is the absolute best surgeon in the world. He's done several surgeries for me. He was able to do my surgery. And I was not happy. I was upset, all of these various things. But I was so grateful that he was there and he was able to help take care of me. I took him a little card later that said, thank you for taking care of me. And I think part of it too is sharing that gratitude. I told him I was grateful. How many times are doctors told that? I had an appointment today with a different doctor, and I told her that, and I thought she was going to cry. She said, I've had a really bad morning. I'm running late because we just had to take a patient to the hospital. And she said, thank you. Thank you for making me remember why I'm doing this.
That is such a strong principle. Now, you talked about trying not to die. That's also your website.
Yes,
So,
trying not to die.live. That's not me. That's not ever been me.
So people listening won't see that, but you can go trying not to die, trying.to-die.L.I.V.E.
Yep.
That's the website. And what will they find when they get there?
Oh, the goal of it is that it's inspirational. We do have resources on there for various things, and it is to show that we are the people who are in charge. We are the warriors. It says on the website, and it says this on every page, that, and someone told me this not long after I was diagnosed. They said, fate says to the warrior, excuse me, you cannot withstand the storm. And the warrior responds, I am the storm. But it's about as being that warrior, pulling your tribe together. You are not alone. You don't have to be alone. And so that's where this is so important, is to bring people together. We do have a link on there to our private Facebook group. I encourage anyone who's on Facebook to go to the link. And even if you're not dealing with cancer in any way, we have fun there. We had someone post last week, I love this. I thought this was one of the best things. This is why we do this. She posted, had my scan, all is clear. Right? There is nothing better than that. But we also have people posting and saying, lost the battle, lost my husband. And so then it's a place of support, whether people know you, or just know you from the Facebook page, they're going to give support. And so that's the whole premise is, how can we help each other, and how can we build our tribes in order to get through this, whatever it is? How can we do that?
You've split out Live or Live,
Mhm.
the acronym Lead,
Mhm.
Invigorate, Voice, and Elevate. Would you share those with them? People listening can't see it, but
Sure.
it's on the website. But tell us about that acronym.
Well, and the funny thing is, I don't know them off the top of my head. So let's see if I can look at them. I might have to just lean in close to my computer. So here we go. So it is an acronym. Oh, hey, my computer's back, so I don't have to lean in. I love this. Don't you love technology? So lead your tribe. From family to physicians, you must lead your coalition. Invigorate your soul. Put yourself first as if your life is on the line. Voice your feelings across a bridge of honesty, for only the truth is actionable. And elevate your mindset with the belief that you will indeed be fine no matter what the results are.
It's a really, really beautiful website. I haven't seen one quite like it. So people just to go there to see that, but there's so many very helpful resources there.
Mhm.
It's learn not to die. There's two T's
Right.
there.
Mhm, mhm. Yep.
Trying
Try
not to
not to die, dot live. Mhm.
I'm sorry, I made that up.
That's
Trying
all right.
to die, dot live, L-I-V-E. And
Mhm,
that is such a powerful. So, you know, we give energy to what we think about.
mhm.
Yeah,
Right.
that's such a
Mhm,
strong. I guess Napoleon Hill isolated that when he interviewed all those
mhm,
leaders, that they had a positive mental
mhm.
attitude.
Right.
I think
Well, and people will tell me that I'm always so happy and always so upbeat. No, I'm not. Am I most of the time? Yes. But, I've had multiple complications. I have had over 30 surgical procedures. I was initially diagnosed at stage 0, and then several months later, it was modified to stage 4. Stage 4 is not curable. I will always have this and always have that threat that it's going to come back. And then of course I had the 2 other cancer diagnoses, which we ignore because they really weren't a big deal. But and so just all of these things, and if it could go wrong, it did, which is why I had to have so many surgical procedures. But and so are there times where I'm not a happy camper? Sure. It's just part of being alive. But the point is, don't stay there. Have that pity party, feel sorry for yourself, and then pick yourself up and move on.
wow, that is. I'm just gonna think about that a minute. Your acronym, your website, all of this energy field that you've created is inspiration. And, sometime we are going to have an issue, or somebody in our team or a family is going to have an issue. And having this tribe around you, giving support. We are doing very difficult work in the field. It's the toughest
Right.
times for clergy
Mhm.
and private leaders. We're
Mhm.
stressed.
Mhm.
There's a lot to do, and we need to unleash ourselves so we can really get.
Right.
So we have had the whole time has gone by. It's just fast.
I know. Just flies.
So what thought would you like to leave people with today?
It really is that you are the warrior and you are in charge, but you have to have the people around you to build your tribe to really go forward. And it doesn't matter if it's that you're the business owner, having the best employees, the best volunteers, all of that, or dealing with an illness. We have to have the best people around us and allow them to be the best people.
The speed of the tribe is the speed of the leader. The attitude of the tribe is a reflection of the leader.
Mhm. Yep.
Deb Deb Krier, you've been a great inspiration today. Thank you for being our guest on the Nonprofit Exchange.
Thank you so much. This has been a delight.
Thank you for watching the Nonprofit Exchange.